we came here for a reason, and that reason was that I'm going to do a Zoom presentation to my people, and we're going to talk about esports stuff, and less esports stuff and more Melee. We're talking specifically how to go from a volunteer to a paid staff member. And so who's this for? This is for, anyone who's lugging a CRT to their local venue and wants to be more involved. These are for the people who are hosting and in charge of that weekly, who people are helping be a part of. This is for the people who are currently out there in the mud hosting online tournaments and being everyone's punching bag in the Smash GG chat and are consciously thinking that like this is going to help me in some sort of way after this horrible pandemic. This is all for you. This is really how you can potentially, use these experiences that you've had in this long and growing journey of Melee, and specifically the stuff that you do out of game in order to help you out. So let me know if you. Oh wait. Real quick, I want to hear music. Maybe. Can you hear music? Maybe. No. Yeah, there it is. Cool. All right, we're back. Let me know if music sounds good. But yeah. So where are you at? The words immortalized by two living legends. Where are you currently at in your Melee career, or whatever the fuck that means? And specifically, how far have you come from the previous point that you were? So that basically means like, why did you get involved with the tournament? Like, why did you host that first event? Why did you want to lug the CRT? Why did you want to be involved of the thing that is the Melee community that necessarily isn't getting better at Melee? And just like consciously keeping the idea of how far I've come, but what were the initial goals of that person is very relevant, because Melee community is a world where you're going to be wearing 20 different hats, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. But like, you can suddenly have 14 different jobs, and it's very, good for yourself and self-worth to be like, what do I like doing the most? And like, if I was to take any of these to the highest degree, which one would it be? For instance, like, if I was to, do I want to be the best TO in the world? Something that was really relevant for me is that, excuse me, I'm drinking like 14 coffees over here, so. Something that was really relevant for me is that, when I got involved and when I hosted my first tournament, my mom, I wanted to be like the biggest TO. Like, I wanted to do my own shine. I wanted to host the biggest tournament possible. And very relevant, like a couple years in, I realized that like that necessarily isn't what I wanted to do anymore. I wanted to like be a part of the 20 different things that go involved in the behind the scenes part. And yeah, like not necessarily trying to host the next shine, but trying to host an event that I feel is impactful. Trying to like, something that's really relevant to me is like this whole like league features and creating a narrative. And that's something that like I really figured out that is something that I want to figure out and how to do to the highest degree. So yeah, so where are you at, and where are you now versus where you want to be? So we just talked about like, where are you at now versus where you were previously and where you got into it, but where, like, what is the end goal for being involved in the community in this way? What is the point of you doing this? And is it that you want to be Juggle Guy? Is it that you want to be Juna, Melee every day? What is the end goal? And just keeping that relevant as much as keeping, the first part of where you came in, where you want to be, and where you are now. So that all leads into creating your own shit. And like at the end of the day, you're never going to be the biggest whatever without doing it yourself first, and really taking the chance on yourself and creating your own opportunities to prove that you are worth that end goal, that Juggle Guy spot, that Melee everyday stream. There's countless ways that you can create your own tournament or create your own specific thing. Specifically, this is easier than ever in the online world, where you can truly host a tournament, click a couple slip your replays and have a stream and an event. Shout out to my dudes Borat tournament going hard and just like creating their own vibe out of nowhere, just because that is something that they wanted to provide. The crazy idea is that could potentially help that person do something else in the tournament sphere after that exists. So it's just creating your own things, and it's easier than ever in this world. It's harder like when you have to like, you know, rent a venue, do yada yada yada. But like right now, it's really easier than ever to create something out of nowhere. But this all leads out to like putting yourself out there. As I sip my yerb. Shout out to my people in chat. Thank you for helping out and supporting. So specifically, you know, you created these opportunities. You're starting to build something for yourself. Maybe you've hosted an online event. Maybe you've been a volunteer at something. You know, maybe you've had a couple notches under your belt. You have the ability to really put yourself out there and be like, okay, there's X big tournament that's happening in a couple months. I can potentially message the people who are involved there and be like, hey, you know, I'm trying to be a volunteer. I'm trying to be involved in some sort of way, whatever it is that you think is the best way for me to be. You know, here are my qualifications, whether they be limited or not. Just coming at these people as like, I am passionate, I want to be involved, I will help you achieve your goals, and I will be one of the heads helping out to your end goal. Tons of people will take you up on that offer, or at least be very interested in that offer. Specifically when you do the part of reaching out to them specifically and showing what you have to offer, yeah, your likeliness of getting that next part is even better. And while like, you know, while volunteering for a online tournament isn't necessarily your end goal, this is all part about step ups. Yeah, I'm gonna quote Step Up movie. No, I don't know any quotes from this movie. So this is all like the idea that like a step up, like you're volunteering at these events to potentially leverage a next position to the next event or even that event in the future. You know, these opportunities lead to each other. By trying to be a volunteer at a certain tournament, you can potentially try to be a paid staff for the next time, or yeah, just showing that you're already involved and that you're using these events to like build something, you know, compiling all these little pieces together onto your little scrap page is what you need to do. And it's you know, having volunteered at multiple events and having understand how these things work is just going to benefit you in some sort of way. And that can be literally applied to any part about the community. You could be the person making art in the artist alley. You could be the person who's like you're trying to be a part of the stream. You could be a TO. You could be like countless different like parts of the community apply here. And it's just like putting yourself out there in order to get the thing that you can leverage for the next part. But yeah, so what you're worth. This is the weirdest part. And I just talked a lot about volunteering and, you know, putting yourself out there for minimum gain to yourself. And it's like, how do you then assess what you're worth if you're doing all this, you know, work for free? And really, it's just what you ask for and then someone says yes to. And then you use that someone who said yes to your pay for the next time. And obviously that doesn't apply everywhere. Like, you know, maybe your first thing is you get paid $25 a day to help out at a major or something. You know, using that as the baseline for the next opportunity, and just creating some sort of standard, whether that be low at the beginning, is the goal. Like for instance, for me, at the beginning, I would not charge to like help out and volunteer for different events. But if there was some sort of monetary value for the tournament and there was monetary gain, I would ask to be like some sort of, you know, compensated in some way. And like, that was essentially just like, hey, you know, if you have the opportunity to, I would love to be paid, because if you're being paid, I would like to be paid. And yeah, that like approaching it from, you know, we're a grassroots community. There's minimum amounts of dollars being involved. But like you can help create monetary value, which is something that I'll talk about a little bit and probably will save for a different talk. But yeah, just the idea of creating some sort of monetary value for your tournament, even if you're an online tournament, even if you're, free entry, no one's making no money whatsoever. There's ways that you can host donate buttons, or part of the stream has like some sort of donation incentives. There's different ways to create your worth and how to have value in a world where you're all just working for free. So like really all this is figuring out what you're worth depends on how much you can do. And that's all just growth. That's all just doing different shit. That's being confident that you can do some sort of job with the TO sphere. You can do some sort of job with the stream. You can do some sort of, like, you can help out in different ways. That might not be, maybe you can't run a full stream off of OBS for a major status quality event, but like you can help Juna in some way, like achieve that goal. You can help these people who are experts in their own spheres, just like be beneficial, and by minor, like very very like minor understanding of how shit works, you can have a better idea and be confident to do a bunch of different shit. Like at the end of the day, if you're hosting a Melee event, you have like 10 different things that you've already done. You've been the head of promotion, you've been the head of events, you have 14 different job titles. It's just like actually being confident in those job titles. Like, for instance, maybe you're not so confident in your promotion ability. That is something you can actively work on and see like the specific gain from your own tournament. Like if you make an active effort to promote your tournament more this week and see, oh, did I get 5 to 10 to any more entrants because I did X, Y, and Z, I posted to these Facebook groups. You can really see the own gain that you have in crafting your own spheres. And guess what? You got to keep doing different shit. Like, there's no end to what you're doing. I'm doing like Allston Melee top 10s. The initial inspiration for that was just because I wanted to get good at Adobe Premiere. Like, it's not bigger than that. It's just like I wanted to like learn how to be a YouTubist and all these different things, because that involves like 3 different roles that I wasn't confident in. Like, I've never been a writer, never been an editor, I've never done X, Y, and Z, and you guys have seen the progression of all those skills in real time, in a similar way of like seeing a tournament get better at promotion in real time. You're always gonna want to keep doing different shit, and like even me, like the amount of different shit I still want to be able to do and still like be able to confidently say that I can have, a minor, I want to be able to say I have a minor understanding of Photoshop, and within like the next month or two. I have zero understanding of Photoshop currently. All of the thumbnails are made on Paint 3D and like in these other guerrilla marketing techniques. Like, there are ways that we can perfect our craft, and that perfects my craft and also. So yeah, just like do different shit. You will be confident in these 10 different titles the more that you try to do them. Just keep doing it. And all that is, it's not about what you learned, it's about what you learned to love. Like I really love talking into a microphone and having a script and creating a video that could possibly affect someone out there. And I didn't know that at all previous to wanting to learn Adobe Premiere. It's all about just like learning some sort of like promotion. Maybe what else? There's like 12 different things that go involved with hosting an event, and maybe you find a love in one of those things. And then after you do those 12 different titles, after you are confident in these 5 different job titles, it's very good to do a re-self-evaluate. That is what I'm consciously doing right now with my portfolio, and being like, oh yeah, I have done all these different jobs. I've done X, Y, and Z. I've been a part of this community while also being a part of this community. And you can totally get like bogged down and just like not at all realize the weight and impact of the stuff that you've done. But yeah, just like take a second, like maybe write it out, maybe don't, maybe just have a good think to yourself. But yeah, just like think about the things that you've done and what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you want to do more of. And it's always going to be relevant to just continue to look at yourself and figure out like what you want to do, because after you've done 12 different things, after you've figured out what part that you like to do the most, it's time for step up to the streets. But yeah, specifically figuring out what the next step for yourself in order to get the end goal that we previously talked about, the where you were previously to where you want to be. Figuring out like what type of job or what type of volunteer, like after you've broken through the volunteer work, like for instance the Allston Melee Bender for us, this is kind of like our step up too. Like we specifically hosted this event. It was kind of like a test event, but kind of like the biggest test event it could possibly be, because we put a ton of effort into it and was like, you know, very front and center about how much this means to us. But yeah, that doesn't mean that we want to not host the Allston Melee Bender 2 or some sort of different event after that. Like everything is a conscious effort of like, okay, we're testing this out, you know, we're going to host this event, we're going to get everyone down with the idea of Allston Melee hosting an event, and then maybe the next thing that we do is going to be 2 times as impactful and you know, get twice as million views on Step Up 2. And that's just all putting context to the stuff that you're confident in. Like we were confident in my ability to host an event. We were confident in the ability to get all these different people involved. We were confident in our ability to craft the content sphere for the Allston Melee Bender. And yeah, we wanted to put context to all of that in a big ol' event. And this is also like, you know, me making a portfolio is me putting context to the stuff that I was like, in this self-evaluation was like, oh yeah, I want to showcase these stuff to anyone, whether that be Coca-Cola Esports, whether that be PBR trying to hit them up for the Allston Melee 2 Bugaloo. Yeah, so it's just putting context to the stuff that you like doing and like basically giving yourself the biggest stage that you possibly can. And that's just what you want to do, right? You want to create the biggest event you could possibly can, or you want to, you know, be a part of the stream of X, Y, and Z because you want to be proud of the work that you've done in Melee. You want this to be able to apply to a resume, to anything, to maybe in, you know, 5 years when you're getting an engineering job, or I keep saying X, Y, and Z. Maybe 5 years when you're getting an engineer job. Like the ability to put something that you were a part of in an impactful way is really, really cool. And, you know, maybe that leads to some sort of, you know, doing what you want to do adjacent to Melee almost. And we're just all trying to make this place bigger. Thanks, Del. Appreciate it. You know, we're all creating events that we're proud of, or being a part of events that we're proud of, because we want to make the Melee place a little bit better. And that's it. That's my talk. Thank you for coming to my Zoom meeting. I'm probably gonna have some friends in a Discord call after. But yeah, really the biggest takeaways here are continue to do different things that you're proud of. Continue to like almost be uncomfortable when you're trying to get that step up. Like sending a DM that might get ghosted might be a good thing, because you're putting yourself out there, and maybe the next DM you send, they'll be like, oh, sorry I ghosted you, I didn't see that. You'll be like, yes you did, I know you saw that. But yeah, like the biggest takeaway is make yourself uncomfortable by having 12 different roles, because that's what's going to get you the most exposure. Cool. I don't know what to put here while I'm doing this. We'll put Darwin's face, right? Darwin has a great face. Cool. Hi, chat. How's it going? Yeah, I think Darwin makes great videos. It's kind of wild that he just came out the bat swinging. If you're a part of the content thing and the Allston Melee thing, feel free to hop in a Discord call and talk with me. If you're in the chat, I'm down to answer any questions. Maybe something that I didn't explain well, I'm definitely down to re-explain. Oh, it's good, JD. I can't hear you. Hold on.
Hello. No,
now
my
I can.
mic was moved for a second. Can you hear me? Are we good?
I can. Can Stream hear him?
Stream, are we good?
We're
That talk was really good.
Yeah.
It felt like a lot of stuff I've been thinking for the last couple months, and it was just kind of out there, which I really like.
Yeah, I'm just really trying to vocalize the stuff that's like hidden deep within the Patti brain. Cause like, yeah, I made this slide deck in 3 minutes. I was like, these will be words that I can talk about and have some sort of string. And yeah, it's just like, I'm just trying to put this stuff out there because like maybe it'll affect someone, maybe it won't. Maybe someone will treat their TO a little bit better. Like I think there's countless different ways that it could possibly be cool. Oh, hold on, I gotta make you louder. So what about you, friend? What do you do in the Melee world? Because I know, but maybe they don't.
We got Wisely in here too. Excellent.
Hell yeah.
So I do a lot of this applies sort of differently, but it's a lot of the same stuff because my stuff because I do trailers and graphics and promotional materials and all that. And that includes stream assets and whatever. And all that is really quantifiable, like more than anything else, because there's like a finished product that you can show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like a lot of that stuff applied, and it's also like the way I've been thinking about it recently. So like, you can volunteer for a major and be like, I helped this pool here, and I did this, and there's stuff that's quantifiable there. But in like a creative field, it's like that's like, I guess like the only thing to go off of is like the thing that you have that you can show.
Your portfolio at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like, I've just been thinking about the relation of that between like someone that does like regular TOing, like managing a Smash GG and pool captaining and things like that, and the differences between that and like a creative field I'm noticing are like not that different.
Yeah, exactly. Like you brought up something there where it's like the act of volunteering and running a pool for a major tournament is like so much more of a commitment than I feel like we even talk about, or like when you think about it from like a different, like, I don't want to say community, but like a completely different field, like the ability to just immediately be involved in the biggest event possible in some like real impactful way is kind of wild. And like I think that's a crazy part. But
it's something I've talked with a lot of like non-FGC people about, is often like general esports people will be like, yeah, do you want to get into esports? Go do FGC and Smash stuff. Because it's so easy to just be like, yeah, I'm already like running pools and doing stuff and getting involved.
That's
like, cool. It's so easy to just volunteer.
Yeah, that's why I cut myself off, because I was like, I don't know if this is similar in like FGC, but I was like, I know it's not in the esports world. Like I know you just can't be the Fortnite TO.
Exactly. If you want to do something in like League or Valorant or something, like, all right, you have to talk to Riot. You got to do like, you can't just be like, I don't know, I ran a Tekken tournament.
Yeah. All right, so JD, focus on you for a little bit. How do you get a job in Melee? Like, how would you go about trying to be involved in some sort of tournament?
So your step up thing was like the main part of it, where it's like you have an opportunity, and then you use that opportunity to get more opportunities, and then you're just kind of everywhere, right? And I think I hadn't thought about it, like I hadn't quantified it like that, but that's like what I did. Yeah. I had a local scene, and then I started doing stuff with the local scene. I helped the broadcast. I just like kept doing stuff for the broadcast because I wanted to make a cool stream. And then I like met the Melee Everyday guys, and then it just kind of spiraled, I guess. And between that and like posting artwork on Twitter and stuff like that, like the name just kind of got out there, and I was like sort of everywhere, which I hadn't thought about. So the step up thing is really important, I think. Well, in my in the creative field, I guess. But if you're like, I think if you're TOing or something like that, where you're not like necessarily on the forefront, you're not like creating a product, you have to make it like really clear what you did, I guess. You have to like put it out there more. Like you have to like have it out there. Like I volunteered at this event and this event and this event. Because like like doing stuff for like whatever tournament, I do stuff for like Gallant. I help with the overlays. Like that stinger happens like between commentator and gameplay every like 10 minutes. So my work is like just literally there. You can just see it, and like I can be like, I did that, and they'll know that. Or like you could have like a trailer or whatever, and then there's like the app below it. It's really easy to like be credited for something like that. The way I'm thinking about it is like as TOs or as volunteers, you have to like make sure that people know that you did that, I guess. And I don't like follow that side of grassroots enough. I just don't follow enough people that like volunteer at like majors or whatever, and that's like just like what they do. And maybe that's like
that's what we're gonna get to with Wisely in a second, but
yeah, them not putting themselves out enough, or me just not knowing. But yeah, I think if you're like volunteering on like the TO side, just like really put out there what you like to do, and like you said, in the online era, it's super easy to like to be part of a thing every weekend.
Yeah, just create something or be a part of like, you know, Savers and Titles events.
Yeah, you could be a part of a different thing every weekend, which is sick. And from like a different group, just because how much is going on right now.
So one more for you before I switch to Wisely. How early did you know that like being involved with the stream or some sort of like production thing was what you wanted to do, like to you getting involved in the Melee community? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, yeah. Like how long was the time period between getting into the Melee community to I want to do production stuff?
Yeah, a year-ish. So I watched the doc. I'm a doc kid. A year after the doc came out, a little less than a year after the doc came out, I like saw it with my friend, and we were like, "This is sick. This is the coolest thing ever." Like everyone does.
Doc gang. Doc gang.
And then we went to a local that didn't have a stream, or like it didn't have a stream. And I was like, I watched like the VGBC stuff when Gimmer and Apostle were on a tear in like 2014, 2015, running absolutely everything. And I was like, these streams are cool. I like what's there. And I also watched, what else was it? Because I wasn't watching a lot of other streams at that point. But I was like, this is cool. I could do that. I want to like make cool graphics. Because at that point, I'd already done like graphic design stuff. I was in like early high school, maybe. Like, yeah. So I was super inexperienced, but I had like graphic experience. And I was like, I can make cool thing myself. And so there was the local, and then there was another local that did Smash 4 stuff, and they had like a whole stream setup that I thought was like super advanced. Looking back, it was just like a 2-monitor OBS setup and a webcam and like a green screen and some commentators in like a back room.
Yeah, no, totally.
But I was like, this is the most advanced thing I've ever seen. This is so sick.
Same thing, yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be a part of that so bad, and I didn't actually get the opportunity until there was like a third venue. This was about 2 years later, or maybe a year later, around whatever. They didn't have a Melee stream. They just set up a computer, set up some OBS stuff, and hit go, and then just left it, and didn't do anything with it. Because like Melee players wanted to stream, and they had an extra computer, so they just hit go. And I went in there, and I was basically like, I can run your Melee stream. I can make new graphics for it.
Yeah.
I can make new graphics for it. I can grab my webcam, my like 720p awful webcam that I think I still use today.
I can change the 0 to a 1.
Yes, I can change the 0 to a 1. I know how your scoreboard works, and I can like integrate the scoreboard into the Melee thing. And so I was like, yeah, I can do this for you. And the dude was like, sure. Fine, we don't have anyone else doing it, and you've been around the scene for a minute now, I guess. Most people kind of didn't know who I was, and they were like, yeah, run the side Melee stream. And now I run every broadcast for that group now. Every single, including FGC. And then I like I make all the graphics, I run the team that like does the other side streams and stuff. And so I just kind of like made my way up the ranks there by being like, and they were like, because I made an animated background, and I made a cool stinger in like,
oh, the stingers is what gets everyone.
I think I animated it in Photoshop, which is awful because I already knew Blender at that point, so I was just stupid.
When our locals started having stingers, that's when everyone immediately, that's all chat would talk about. We'd have the entire set play, they'd just still be talking about the stingers. It's like, come on.
And so I did that, and they were like, that's super sick. Oh man, that's cool. And so at some point around 2019, when Ultimate came out, I still like wasn't main guy running the stream. I was still like stagehand, putting up tables and stuff. But after that point, because I helped with graphics for that, and then it just like I kept building up at that point, and I wasn't part of anything out of region until COVID. And then I started showcasing my graphics more, posting more stuff on Twitter. And I managed to like meet more people, especially Nikki with Melee Every Day, who introduced me to everyone else at Melee Every Day, which like started spiraling, and like I just started to be a part of a lot more stuff very quickly, which was super sick. But it's basically, yeah, start at your local level and be like, where can I help out in the thing that you want to be good at, I guess, and then you just run it from there. I think is like the optimal path. And then like obviously if you don't have anything like local, geography wise, you can just do stuff online. But yeah, it was like a year.
All about the step ups.
It's about the step ups. I think the step up is actually the most important part.
Exactly. So speaking of the step ups, Wisely, what was the first event to give you some sort of like power? And that can be like, you know, different things. Like essentially like, what was the first event where you were like, okay, you know, if I don't show up, shit might go bad.
Literally, it was like 3 months into playing.
Hell yeah.
I started going to locals. I couldn't go to a ton because I was like, senior in college and was trying to make sure that I did well and everything. Had watched the doc, gotten into Melee and PM, and started going to tournaments. And very quickly was like, these seem like they're not being run very well. And I didn't say it like that, but it was just like, even for me being new, it was just like, oh, there's just like, it was like 2015, 2014. And so there was just a lot of people just hanging out, not playing tournament sets, not doing like probably tournaments that were taking like 3 or 4 hours longer than they needed to, just because
not enough people being
GOs weren't asking people to play sets right away, or they weren't doing whatever. And so I was like, hey, I'm new, but like I can just like yell people's name and get people to play sets. And so very quickly it was like, all right, we'll just have Wisely like help as an assistant. And I did that for a little bit. That's how I met a lot of people. That and hosting Smash Fests was just like, hey, like we need people to play sets. I can tell people what TV to sit down and play.
And did you get that opportunity just by being like, hey, I can do this?
Yeah, there was nothing formal at all. I think it was literally at the tournament. Like it wasn't something we talked about. And I was just like, yo, do you want someone to just yell people's names for you? And he's like, yeah, go for it. Okay. Volunteer is literally that easy at a local level.
Yeah, exactly. So how long was it from that moment to you volunteering at, you know, a major or regional level tournament, like kind of like the step up in terms of event?
Yeah. Well, I think the next step up for me was running my own local.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to allude to almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Was like running my own locals, because I started being like, I could just like do this by myself.
Exactly.
Because like that was a tournament that was connected to the local college or the University of Minnesota. It was like it had a lot of things that you could only do because you were at a college there, stuff like that. Yeah, Cypher and I've talked about a lot of this. But so it very quickly was like I could just do my own local. And so I ran some of those, and then me and another person teamed up because they were running at the time, Smash 4 local, and we were both doing bi-weekly locals. And we're like, why don't we just have these alternate now so that people can specifically go to both if they want to, put them on the same day, promote them together. Started doing that. And that person ended up being Josh, who now is the like head of something at Panda Global.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he and I literally were just like still pretty new, but he and I both started like helping out at regionals around the same time. We would like we went to Wisconsin and they were like, hey, we need some people to stream for us, and so we did that. And it just very quickly grew from there to be like, okay, well, he became one of the biggest Smash 4 TOs in the area, so he was asked to help out at Big House and was like, hey, can I have Wisely on my staff too? Like it was just that kind of thing of like, yeah, you volunteer. And because I had it doesn't need to be big, but because I had a resume of like, I've run these locals of this size, all right, you can run pools at this tournament.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like a free volunteer position, but you can run pools at, I think it was either Big House or Genesis was the first one that I like, national that I did. Where I volunteered.
And from being involved in an event, from hosting your own event for the first time, like how many different roles would you say that you were confident in, like by the time that you were already being a volunteer at Genesis?
I mean, for sure, tournament organizing in the like bracket managing and like player coordination side. One of the things is that at nationals, a lot of the roles become a lot more individualized, and so instead of it just being TO, it is pool captain, it is bracket manager, it is volunteer coordinator, all that kind of stuff.
And sometimes it feels great to be like, oh wow, I don't have to think about that. I don't have to think about 12 different things right now.
No, it's absolutely one of those like, oh my god, I'm so glad I don't have to think about all of this. I guess by Genesis, I felt really comfortable. Like, I knew that I wasn't going to mess up a bracket. It's the most simple version of that. Was they like, okay, I can run this bracket. I can also run it fast and make sure that it stays efficient. And I think that's the difference. So, I mean, since then, I've started like being the volunteer coordinator at some of these events. I'm like head staff at Low Tier City. I've been like senior volunteer, which is like the almost paid staff at some tournaments. I've done a lot of different random things, and like that's what I notice is when someone's like really the volunteers that I pay attention to are the ones that I can tell are just really on their game. And it doesn't have to be anything big, but just like every time I come by to like check how things are going, they give me a quick update, and either the pool's running really well, or they're like, it's like, we're having this issue, but this is what I'm doing about it, and this is, or like, what do you want me to do about it for a quick thing?
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, pools are gonna have issues. You're gonna have Mewtwo King not show up. You're gonna have whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other side of that is like by being a volunteer at Genesis, by being a volunteer at 14 different events, you like you're much more familiar with people who are making those calls, and like that's the weird like hidden part about it. It's like you kind of do have to know people, but it's not like, oh yeah, me and this person are bros. It's like, oh, we know each other because I do a really good job at the events where I volunteered at. And yeah, it's kind of the difference where it's people like, oh, it's just a social thing. It's really not. It's
no.
People pick the best volunteers to
like
promote.
It's a super like dirty word, like networking, and it's like, no, I just met Mudkip because we ran 3 different events together, and now we're friends because
Mudkip.
like stuff like that, or like I just met this person because I have now volunteered at 3 different tournaments that they've been staff on, and so you just get to know people.
Exactly.
There's definitely a like. Everyone talks about like there's like the players or there's commentators. There's also definitely the like social scene in a way of volunteers and TOs where we all know each other now because we all work a lot of the same events, and it's some combination of these 20 people at any given tournament. And so you just like meet those people by volunteering, and it's not a weird like, oh, I'm not trying to grind my way into being friends with people. It's just how you meet people.
The way I think about it, it's like networking is something that exists, and like this pipeline does exist where like if you network with people you do get opportunities, but like if you think about it, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, if you think you're networking.
Yes.
If you have it in your brain as like I am going to network, you're doing it wrong. Because it is just something that happens, and especially
it's also very obvious when someone tries to do that.
Yeah, in a grassroots scene like this, it is very obvious.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to call out, is that we are actively talking about this from a very FGC and Melee perspective, because like to call back to what we talked about before, it's like, how do I become the TO of the Fortnite tournament? And that's by networking. That's by like the dirty version of the networking. And it's because those teams don't have the ability to, have 14 volunteers, the ability to like, oh yeah, I know Wisely because we've worked at 12 different events, even though we live 12 hours away from each other or whatever. Just like that is definitely the grace that we have, is that like people can like have some sort of ladder way to being involved, and by going from the volunteer to the paid staff.
It's just because like, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this too, like every once in a while someone will not like have a snide comment, but like a little bit of a side comment on like, oh, you're only getting this gig because you know these people. It's like, yeah, but I know these people because I volunteered for free at like 3 different tournaments before this. Like, I don't know what you want me to do, like not meet the people I'm working with.
Yeah.
And the other opposite side is like, it's really obvious when someone is just trying to get to know people for the sake of like increasing their network. Because it's
totally.
The number of people that have like messaged me out of the blue that I'm like, we've talked twice, and now you're like trying to be really friendly about like, oh, so I'm gonna be at Shine. Like, do you got any gigs? I'm like, I'm not even involved with Shine. Like, I don't know what you're asking.
Yeah, that is super real. That is also something that I wanted to talk about in one of my slides, but I forgot to. It's knowing like the right person to DM, knowing the right person to like shoot your shot to. Because I've definitely gotten that side too, where it's like, hey, yeah, how do I get a job at Shine? It's like, you message this person who's probably not going to respond to you. Have fun.
Yeah, and it's like, I've been thinking about this a lot too, where it's like, you have to know the right opportunity and the right person, and that's like actually the hard part of it that you can't teach. Like, you could teach the rest of this, but that awareness of like, so this is who I know, and this is who they might know, and this is how our jobs would intersect, and like this is how they might know my name. And then it's just like not pressuring too hard, and just kind of being like, what's good, how's it going, maybe like other stuff. It's like, that's the stuff you can't teach, I guess. And I think that's like what kind of puts, because you can suss people out that just like want the gig super easy. And that's like what I really like about this, like the grassroots space specifically. But yeah, I think that's what sets people apart between like that's just kind of like the thing that does it for me, I guess, where it's like you can tell the difference between someone that like is just like vibing there and like actually like wants to do something. It's like, yeah, you can just tell the vibe, and it's hard to like learn that.
Ryan makes a really good point in chat. People generally like to work with people who are easy to work with, which can really just be boiled down to being a good communicator. I think all of us are good in that sense, where it's like we are very good with communicating to the people who may be, you know, above us or whatever in the event thing. So a question for both of you, you know, kind of almost like a brainstorm. How do you see yourself getting your next step up? How do you? Oh, I just shrunk myself in the chair. How do you see yourself?
I just saw it on stream.
I'm glad you said that, because my stream's on like a 10-second delay, and I got to watch it in real time.
I just cut my legs out. How do you see yourself getting to the next level of whatever that may be?
I can go on this.
Yeah, you go first.
So mine's going back to like, mine is you can, because I have a portfolio, and you can just see the work, right? And I can be like, so the ladder or like the staircase is like, you can see it through the portfolio, right? You go like oldest to newest, and you can like visually see the staircase, I guess, or the ladder. And that's like sort of it's easier to show than I guess in the TO space, which is, I'm super sick that like both of us are here. So in terms of like my next thing, it's just showing like I did this cool thing, right? And then it's also being like, these are the people I did the cool thing with, and you might know them, you might not, but they're there to vouch anyway.
Exactly.
And then it's just like the network of going back to like knowing like the spider web or whatever, where it's like, I'm applying to this place and I did this cool thing with people that they might know. So it's just like finding the opportunities for me, that it's like a cool place I want to be at and a cool place I want to like work with cool people at, but those cool people also know the cool people that I've worked with before, and it's just like finding those opportunities for me. So in a creative space, I wouldn't say easy, but it's easier. Because I just like, here's cool things I've done.
Yeah, and that can almost be like hard for people like us to like go back to the being uncomfortable with shooting your shot type feel. Because like, when you exist in the sphere where it's like, oh, everyone knows me, but suddenly you're reaching out to the company who might not, because they might not know everyone, but like they're gonna view it in a different way. Like that's the type of feel where it's like, hey, I gotta send this uncomfortable DM and hope they respond correctly. Or just respond.
I've sent so many of those DMs though.
Yeah,
to
me
people
too.
that
Me
like
too.
3 years later I have worked with because they now like know who I am. But like you need one person to respond. But there's definitely
Exactly.
ones where I like messaged Juggle Guy or messaged whatever, like that level of TO to be like, hey, can I help like work some events? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I don't actually remember sending. I don't think I've sent any of those. I think I sent the closest I've gotten was I sent one to Aiden out of the blue to do an interview, and he just like immediately said yes. So I haven't been supremely let down before, I guess. Which like is probably not optimal for me, but also like I'm cool with where I'm at, right? So I don't really I don't see that as a necessity, which I guess this is like an option too, right? You can just kind of have your name out there and people come to you, which is nice. But yeah, I've never like sent one of those where it's like, I want to be a part of your cool thing. Or if I have, I probably just forgot it.
For me, most recently, that I'll just talk openly about it. It was looking for a sponsor for the Allston Melee Bender. We created a sponsor slide deck to potentially look for I'll say a number that was bigger than the one that we got is the easiest way to put it out there. But yeah, we sent a big ask for big number to a couple of different companies who didn't go the way that we wanted to. But I'll say that like a couple of those people who didn't respond in the time where they could have responded since and have been like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, I'm just kind of interested now.
Nice.
Because we hosted the event, we got their attention, whether, that be through the DM, whether that be through just like, having the event. But yeah, that whether that actually did create the opportunities, us like feeling uncomfortable and like kind of shooting our shot there definitely helped in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then that's kind of like the hard part for me, where it's like, like what is my step up? And like I know the end goal, but I don't see how to get there necessarily. Like it's like I know that I want to like turn Allston Melee to a part where it's like I'm not necessarily doing every part of it, but we're like having people be involved who like can specialize or maybe like bring to vision the vibe that we want. But like that's the part where it's like if this can't turn into a full pay job for me yet, it probably can't be someone else's side hustle yet. And like that's the part where it's like trying to figure out how do we get to that part. And like that may be some sort of maybe I should use the esports resources that we have to either like reach out to a company or like have not like sponsor, but like let's do an event, let's host another cool thing. Or maybe that's like, hey, maybe I'll try to get an esports job to be able to hire people to be a part of the Allston Melee thing. So yeah, there's like a couple of different like routes you could potentially take, but like I see the end goal. It's like, okay, like we're at the point here where we're reaching the limit. It's like, how do we get there now? And that's the really cool part where it's like, yeah, we feel like we're approaching the next step up. It's like, how do we get there? Probably sending a couple uncomfortable DMs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the part where it's cool, where it's just to be like, I don't know. I feel like so many people are just like to themselves and not like open about like, hey, this is where we're trying to be in the Melee sphere. And yeah, I just feel like being open about that is how you actually achieve the goals. And like likewise, that's why it's cool to have both of you on here, because both of you are very like actively like trying to be this, and I'm working on getting to this.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that all out for myself right now, because I've done the volunteer to paid staff part, and I've also realized now that like you said, I don't want to run the biggest tournament in the world.
Exactly.
I think I used to.
Yeah,
and now
totally.
I'm just like, sure, but like some of the best tournaments I've ever been to weren't the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Like they were the most impactful things that I've been to were often like random regionals or stuff that's like super unique, like Smash Camp or like whatever.
Yeah, I've been really realizing that too.
Like I would rather help a lot of those big tournaments in whatever ways that I can and like be staff, but I don't see myself like being the head core person for it super national like I think I wanted to 4 years ago. I'm also trying to figure it out though, because like I'm trying to go from doing a lot of like the esports contract gig life to doing full time.
Yeah.
But I think that is outside of Smash for me.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. Is
yeah.
would you even want to have your passion be your full-time job?
If it happened naturally, sure. But I think if I put myself into a spot where like I had to run a certain size tournament every other week or like every month in order to pay my rent, I would hate it.
Oh God, yeah.
Because there's not like unless you're working for one of like 3 companies, you're not going to be a full-time Smash TO or staff or whatever.
Yeah, that's the other part where it's like, when I got a job at Smash GG, everyone was like, "Oh, so you like just run every tournament now, right?" And it's like, no, it's actually the opposite of what I do.
I go down the list and I hit start tournament and then I go through the brackets. Yeah.
it's like it's the complete opposite sphere where I do everything up until that point for somebody else, and then there's another sphere where it's like, well, you know, I can help out with this tournament start to finish, but like this tournament's gonna get the credit. And Patti is just going to be Smash GG, you know, and just going to get mean Smash GG tweets on social media.
Yeah.
And
So
despite that, Smash GG was still one of the 3 companies I was thinking of.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like I'll always sing Smash GG's praises because they didn't fuck me.
Yeah.
They treated me like a real human being and not just a passionate 20-year-old, which, yeah, really, really appreciate that part.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the creative sense, so this also like is another part of it. I guess like in the creative sense, but also like having a job in esports in general is that you make a niche for yourself in what you do, right? So as a tournament organizer, this can mean a lot of things. I don't necessarily know a lot about it, but you could be like someone like Aiden that just like wants to run weird formats all day, and that can just be your thing. Right, and you just like know all the intricacies of like running Swiss
doubly limbed X
the bracket.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
In the in the creative sense, so you could use that to go full time, and like pitch that in the creative sense. For me, it's like, right now I'm putting like. I'm really young, so I have like all the opportunity in the world, right? I have some time to like mess up and like try to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the idea is like go full time on this, right? And that's just using the step up and then going from event to event, just keep making cool stuff. But it's also like you think in the Melee community specifically, it's sort of getting better in the FGC in certain areas, but like full-time positions are very rare.
Absolutely,
just in general. So like I imagine it's the same in like the TO sphere, but it's also you just have to like excel. You literally have to be the best. Not literally. You can it's whatever, not specifically, but you have to be very good at what you do, and that's just like again developing the time, taking the time to go from event to event, being able to pitch yourself. But yeah, it's like I would love to go full time on this in whatever position that is. But I also have to like promotional materials are cool, right? Seeing a cool trailer on Twitter makes you go, oh, that's nice, and you're like aware of an event's existence. But that hasn't existed a lot in Melee or Ultimate to like to facilitate a full time position. Right,
you'd have to make a lot of trailers for a lot of different events.
Yeah, and so it's like creating that niche as well is something like you have to like because if you're in a weird niche position like I am, and or like you're someone else watching this now and you're like I want to do this other cool weird thing. You have to like also actively carve that spot out in the industry. And I think that's something like
I think that's super true. Like, there's a lot of TOs, obviously, especially like local level or regional level TOs, but it's a different skill to go from being a TO to like, trying to think like, not bracket running, stream coordinating, like stream queue stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to be the person, like that's something I really enjoy doing at majors, and I don't do it all the time. Usually it's like one shift out of all of my stuff, but like the person who goes to find all of the players that we need on stream is a totally different role that requires a lot of the same skills, but like you have to apply them in different ways, because you have to feel totally comfortable going up to like XYZ pro player you've only seen on the stream before, especially if it's your first one. But it's a role that I love because you get to be the person who decides the narrative for the stream.
And that's the part where I feel like like the online world really has opened itself to be. Like, for instance, Jade went from someone who was like, oh, they TO that? That's pretty cool, to, oh my god, they're an inspiration for running an online event. I need to steal everything that they've done through the Discord and copy it to the best degree possible. And that was just like, through the course of 3-4 months, just being like...
Yeah, I didn't know who Jade was 3 months ago.
Yeah, and now it's just like, oh, okay, inspiration, you need to take stuff from
I didn't know that.
Oh, hell yeah.
They've been lurking.
Yeah, and that's also part of, like, you're just everywhere. Jade has done a ton of stuff, and you're just like, you're out there.
I've talked to Jade briefly about that, and they just couldn't travel. It was the same thing as like the players that suddenly are on the come up because Slippy has let them attend events. Jade is the same thing, where I'm pretty sure they said that they hadn't been to a tournament outside of their region.
Yeah, and that's badass. And that's like and that's going back a little bit to the creating like almost a new role in the TO sphere. Like right now, a weird thing that I want to do and just like recently got hired to do is be a merch consultant for different events. Shout out Glenn. I'm doing some merch consultant for them, and just like like I have all this information and knowledge on how to make Smash G products and all like the back end for what goes into a shop and like how to do successful stuff like that. It's like I can use this to potentially create some sort of side gig for myself, but also like create stuff that I like. Like it's really cool creating merch that I'm wearing right now and that people like, and the idea of continuing to do that and like making a couple dollars off of it is super cool. So yeah, that's the part where it's just like, how do you create jobs? It's like, okay, well, what do you like doing, and how can you sell yourself to someone? Like I'd love to do that for the Genesises and Big Houses of the world, because it's just something that by being a part of events, you are aware that something is lacking. You're aware that like the TO's brain is completely focused on something. Maybe you can add some sort of new creative field to the event.
That's literally how I got That's literally how I got the job for Low Tier City. Because I went to the Low Tier City the year beforehand just as a player, and I did only player and commentary stuff there. And then I straight up went to one of the head people. I went to Trey, who like runs FX and T-Lock and everything, and I was like, hey, I've done this role at other tournaments, and you don't have anybody to do this right now. And that was like the volunteer coordination, because the first year I went to Low Tier City, it was just the like 8 core TOs overseeing every single pool, overseeing everything. And I was like, why don't you guys have volunteers? Why don't you have like staff? Like, why are you all running like every single thing here? No wonder you're just burnt out and dead.
And then that's the step up, is that you created a role for this tournament, and now you can go and be like, hey, other tournament, I'm really good at doing this. You should, I should be a part of your team because I'm really good at this.
That's
I told them, I was like, you need to do volunteer coordinating next year. And I said, like, it's something I've done. And I also mentioned, like, there's the Stop Your Friendlies team. There's a few other people that all do this. And then, like, 6 months later, when they were planning for the next Low Tier City, I get a call from Trey, and he's like, hey, do you want to do that thing you talked about?
The best thing ever is
let's do it.
The best thing ever is not complaining about something, but just being like, hey, this kind of sucks, and I could just do it better for you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, so like there are positions I've looked at where I've gone like, your thing is not that great. I think I can do it better, and I want to do it better. How do you pitch that?
So yeah, I think it's a weird sphere where you're kind of creating.
I don't want to be an asshole, right? And be like, your thing is not as good as it could be. I want to make it better.
I think it's totally the perspective you come at it from. You don't do a like, oh my god, this sucks. You say like, hey, if you did this, you would see XYZ return. Whether that's, for me, getting the volunteer coordination role was hey, if you do this, you won't need to be running 12 different roles yourself the day of the of everything. Or if you are the merch person, you'll say like, hey, you can hire me for this much money, but based on what I've seen at all the other tournaments I've done, you will make this much more money in merch sales. Or there's somebody that she does a phenomenal job with social media stuff, is Koi. She works for Panda as an intern right now.
Koi super sick.
Super great. And we met because she was a volunteer under me at Genesis like 2 years ago. But she has since turned her social media background as like, because she is like a marketing, or in the middle of like college for marketing, to be like, she's the person that sits with like 3 different laptops at a major now for like CEO or for different things, and just like has all the streams up, is constantly pulling clips, is constantly like working stuff. And guess what? All those events get way more notice and views on their streams because they're constantly promoting like funny thing that happened, cool hype clip, this thing. And she's really good at fitting in their like brand style, where if it's a super professional one, it'll fit that. If it's something really low key and chill, like Allston Melee Bender, she would have been able to like follow that kind of stuff. Like if you were able to say like, hey, I've done this for this event, and any event that I work tends to get 15% higher viewership, or tends to make
the
XYZ.
stats. They love the stats.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Even if you don't have the stats, if you're just like, hey, this boosts viewership, or this boosts like YouTube revenue later, or we see higher merch sales or whatever, like that's going to be a lot better than the, hey, I think you suck at this thing, and then not offering anything else.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's more of just like, hey, I do this thing, and then you can kind of let them connect the dots. Like, oh yeah, we don't have stingers, or we don't, like whatever it is that like specifically you're offering. If you're coming at it where you're confident that these people don't currently have it, I think just coming at it like, this is what I do, and I'm really good at it, and I've worked with all these people, and I think that is definitely the best way for that.
Mm. I like that.
You guys want to plug some stuff?
I was about to say I gotta get back to work soon, so I'm down to plug.
Go first.
I'm Wisely. I guess I've mentioned a lot of the stuff I do just throughout the conversation. You can find me at Wisely. No, it's at yes, there we go. You can find me there on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. During quarantine, I've been TOing a lot less and just working specific events. So I've been making a lot more videos and streaming and trying to make content. I do stuff for Melee, PM, and Rivals, so you'll see all of those. And I'm trying to move to full-time esports, just not probably specifically within Smash, and I'll keep doing all the Smash stuff because I love it. Yeah, that's me.
Sick. Hi, my name's JD. My Twitter is @JDMH_. Twitter cursed me by not letting me have 4 letters in my @ I do event trailers and production stuff. Trailers, overlays, VODs. I can do the whole thing, top to bottom, for your event. If you like, I think that should show up. Yeah. I also interview TOs sometimes. Patti, yours still hasn't gone up because I'm lazy and don't want to timestamp. But yeah, I do promotional materials, 3D art, 2D art, top to bottom. You want cool thing for your event? You want your event to look cool? Hit me up 2-ish months before your event so I can make cool things. Give a little bit of time. But yeah, I'm also trying to go full-time esports. But it's hard. So if you guys have cool events and you want to be part of your cool event, hit me up, please and thank you.
Hells yeah, I'm Patti. You can see my shit on the screen. Thank y'all for coming and being a part of this. This was super spontaneous and just out of the blue. But hey, maybe I'll do another one in a couple days. We'll see where it happens.
This was super dope.
Well, thank you for running this on my lunch break.
No problem. Thank you, class, for coming. This will be on the test. The test will be whenever I want it to be. Okay, thank you for coming. Goodbye.